Hello and welcome to Tpot with me, Michelle Hammond, where I hope to educate and inspire you on all things health in wellness. Today, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by the incredible woman that is Shann Jones, co-founder and director of the incredible brand Chuckling Goat, where we're going to be talking about all things microbiome. Shann, it is an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining.
Lovely to be here.
And so Chuckling Goat, I mean, it's an incredible story. I mean, both from sort of what it is today, but more importantly, of how it kind of came about. Tell us a little bit about that, because it really is a very unusual, but incredible, incredible story.
Well, I think like a lot of mothers, my journey started when my child had issues. So my little boy Benjamin had bronchial conditions. He was only little and he would have a cold. It would settle on his chest, take him to the doctor, take antibiotics, and 3 or 4 months later, we do the whole thing again. So at that time, I really didn't know what was going on, but I knew it wasn't a good idea that he was, increasingly in this vicious spiral and things seemed to be getting worse instead of better. So I said to my husband, who's a Welsh goat farmer, but we didn't have any goats at the time, importantly, we just had sheep. I said, what should we do about this? And he said, we should get a goat. And I went, okay. Odd, because I've just told you my child is sick and you said we should get a goat. It is, however, in the Welsh farming tradition, the goat's milk is good for eczema, asthma, and bronchial conditions. They know stuff, these Welsh farmers, and my husband is always right. I found it's very annoying, but it's true.
He's going to
So
love you saying
I know, always. I never argue with him. Fine. We went from the doctor's surgery to see a man who had a goat, and we got the goat. We brought it home. I learned to milk it. Many tears. It was not easy. Got the milk, gave it to my son, and lo and behold, it did actually clear up some of his bronchial conditions. But then I had too much milk. It was going off in my fridge, and I didn't know what to do with it. So my girlfriend phoned me and she said, oh, turn on the radio. There's a doctor on there who's talking about goat's milk. Fine, turned it on. It was Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, who at the time was using something called kefir, which I'd never heard of, to treat, her son had autism, and also so kids who were autistic, dyspraxic, schizophrenia, ADHD. She was using the gut and psychology syndrome. Obviously, she had correlated gut issues to brain issues. And at the time, no one had ever heard of it. These days, we're very familiar with the gut-brain connection, but it was revolutionary back then. She was getting amazing results all over the globe. And I tuned in and thought, now she's Russian. This is the connection. So she was bringing kefir into the UK when this was back before anyone had ever heard of it, back in 2013. Yeah. And I thought, well, all right, maybe I could use my goat's milk, make this stuff that she's talking about in a way that she would be happy to give to her clients. And there would be a market for my goat's milk. I know people with autistic children, they're busy and they don't have time to be messing about with little fermenting jars on the windowsill. So it'd be good for me, good for them, good for her. I got in touch with her and said, look, will you teach me how to make this, whatever it is, your Russian stuff you're talking about, to a therapeutic grade? And she did that. Amazing. She taught us how to make it, kefir properly made with goat's milk because cow's milk is allergenic, made with real grains, not powdered sachets. And most of the stuff that you see commercially, especially supermarket kefir, is going to be made with powdered sachets because it's frankly easier. Yeah. Unflavored. This is important. If you're buying probiotics from the supermarket or recommending them to clients, you're wasting your time because anything that's flavored is going to do your gut more harm than good. You got to put a lot of sugar in there or sweeteners, artificial flavoring to kill the tart and tangy taste of the kefir. And so all those flavorings are actually doing more harm than good. So she taught us how to make it. We started making it, and that was the beginning of our journey.
Fantastic. And that's incredible. And I know there was a story around your husband as well, wasn't it? As he'd got sort of very sick as well, and you'd helped him to recovery, and actually an incredibly, rapid time frame.
So that was the next step. My husband got colitis. He went into the hospital and came out without his large intestine, but with an MRSA superbug in his abdominal incision. Wow. And so the nurse was coming out every day and dressing this 10-inch incision down his midline. And what MRSA looks like, and I hope nobody ever experiences it, a flesh-eating superbug means that there are holes that grow in the wound itself, and the holes get deeper and deeper. So instead of, they look like horrible little red mouths. Instead of healing, they're getting larger day by day. And the nurse was actually putting a probe into the holes, pulling it out, measuring it. And the day came when she said, in that very calm voice that nurses have, I think we need to see the doctor. So the doctor came out, pulled off the big 10-inch bandage off my husband's incision, and his face went white. I actually saw the blood drain out of his face. And he said, I have no experience of anything of this magnitude. I think you need to contact the surgeon who did the operation. And he picked up his bag, got in his car, locked the car door, and sped off up our farm track. And I thought, huh, okay, so I'm going to call the surgeon who did the operation, and the surgeon's secretary is going to say to me, and you're calling us because, A, you can't operate on MRSA. It's not like something you can cut out because it's all over the body. It's all over the skin. It replaces every copy of a normal skin cell with a copy of itself. It's not something you can cut out. And B, they won't let you into the hospital if they know you have MRSA. They screen you first because it's contagious. So I thought, right, what happens now? Does he just die on my sofa? Because I can't get him into hospice. I can't get him into hospital. The doctor's just seen us and left. Physically, what do I do with this man? Where do I put him? Who do I call? You know, this is the NHS, right? Who do you call? So I thought, right, not happy with that. If I ask the question, how do I kill the MRSA infection? The answer is, I don't, he dies. So I don't like that. And I'm from Texas originally. So when we don't like the answer, we just ask a different question.
I love that.
Right, not liking the answers I'm getting. I'm going to ask a different question. So I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, but I am a communications expert. That's what I did back in the day. And I know all about framing communications. So as I was researching frantically, as you do, right? Anti-Google is always there for us. Yeah. What I noticed was that all of the conversations, all the research were so aggressive. They were all couched, they were all framed in aggressive warlike terminology. Kill the infection, fight the bacteria, destroy the bacteria will destroy us. And I thought, you know what, that's a zero-sum game. Yeah. I am never, ever going to be able to kill all the bacteria because they're everywhere. They're behind his ears, they're in his eyebrows, they're under his fingernails. Even if I were to dip this man in bleach, I could never kill all those bacteria. There would be a few that would remain, and they would be the resistance, and they will breed. This is how we got to this situation to begin with. Okay, so that frame, the entire frame is wrong. That's how we got here. That's how we got into this mess. So what's a different frame to killing and fighting? And I went, rainbows, unicorns dancing happy, friends, allies, okay. Balance, harmony, balance. All right, what would be something that would bring these pathogens, not kill them, but bring them back into balance, back into harmony? Now that I did have an answer to, and it was out in the stone barn where we were making our kefir. Yeah. The beauty of kefir is that it boosts the good bacteria, which then suppress the bad bacteria and put them back into their niche in the ecosystem. Yeah. In other words, the bad bacteria aren't bad, they're just out of control.
Out of balance, yeah, absolutely.
Bring them back in, and it's like putting the wolves back into Yellowstone Park, which they did in 1995. There was actually a trophic collapse in Yellowstone because they had taken the wolves out. And then the deer in the park were overgrazing the trees, and the trees died, and they dropped dirt into the river, which killed the fish, which killed the birds, which killed the plants that were spread by the seeds that the birds were passing. And the whole thing collapsed. Put the wolves back in, the whole ecosystem comes back into balance. And so I thought, right, maybe the kefir, now I knew the kefir did that inside the gut. I had that research that showed that. Yeah. But would it act the same way on the skin? Because of course he had MRSA out of control all over his skin, and he'd had huge numbers of antibiotics, which had killed everything off, which, just like in your garden, leaves an empty space. Yeah. You kill off all the good bacteria and you leave an empty space. Just like in your garden, that space gets filled. It does not get filled up with flowers. It gets
Yeah.
filled with weeds. It is the nasty, fast, opportunistic pathogens that jump into the empty space, which is created by our chemicals. It works the same way in your garden, on your skin, and inside your gut. So I thought, well, I can't find any research to show that kefir works the same way on the skin. But frankly, at this point, my husband is fading in and out of consciousness. He's upstairs in bed. We haven't got long. I don't, again, I'm not a doctor, but I know that when those angry red holes hit his vital organs, we're done here.
Yeah.
We're done. Doctor wouldn't come back to my house, by the way, but I was smart enough to know that my husband would die. So I thought, okay, all right, okay, fine. It's not going to hurt him and it might help. And I can't just sit here and watch him die. I have to do something. So I did two things. I did some more research and I found a combination of essential oils that I thought would knock back the pathogen level, not kill them all off, but just knock a little back and give me a foothold. And then I put the kefir on his skin. So I was alternating a wash of the essential oils, which I ended up calling CG oil, and the kefir, alternating.
Yeah.
My husband said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Don't worry, sweetheart. I've totally got this under control." Totally didn't.
Yeah.
Totally had no idea what I was doing. No idea whatsoever. And I was washing him down with the kefir. And of course, he smelled like a cheese, not user-friendly at all. But the funny thing is that it worked. 2 weeks later, the wound dried up, the holes disappeared, it all cleared. They swabbed him. He was clear of MRSA. He got up out of bed, got on his tractor, and he's been there ever since.
Amazing. I mean, that is just such an incredible story, isn't it? I mean, your grit and resilience and determination is just palpable and phenomenal in a situation like that, because most people would have ran around like a rabbit in the headlights, just not, not knowing, and I just felt overwhelmed and I've potentially just been a passenger watching the inevitable outcome of that. But you were so proactive. But I love the fact that you kind of needed to reframe and you went back to that kind of balance and harmony and looked at the whole ecosystem of it. I mean, it's absolutely ingenious, and I'm delighted to see, hear that he's well now and sort of, you're completely through the other side of it, and phenomenal. So tell us about the efficiency of kefir then in that kind of healing and regenerative sort of response, because we hear so much about the microbiome at the moment, and obviously the world seems to have woke up to sort of its critical importance in our overall health and well-being, and in our unique health and well-being, because we're always kind of banging the drum about how unique we are, and the one glove method doesn't sort of fit all, and sort of kefir sort of feeds that really well, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. So indeed, your microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint. You get some of your microbiome from your mother, and then things that happen to you after that impact it. And so the way that I like to think about the microbiome is, imagine it like the Amazon rainforest inside your gut. 10 to the 14th bacteria, that's trillions of bacteria, they are living. And you can imagine them like little organisms, birds, bugs, lizards, leaves, deer, tigers, all existing, fighting, breeding, competing for space. And that is not a metaphor, that's real.
Yeah.
Okay, there's bacteria in there that are like pond algae. These are real natural bacteria. They're not human cells. We are what we call a holobiont, which means we are a combination of human cells and these bacterial cells, which we long ago formed a powerful relationship with. It is mutually beneficial. They benefit us and we benefit them. Yeah. So that it's a symbiotic relationship. The thing is, like any natural ecosystem, the one inside your gut is fragile and it can be damaged. The things that damage it are what I call the 4 horsemen of the gut apocalypse: antibiotics, sugar, stress, and environmental toxins like the ones you find in your personal care products and your cleaning products and the pollution that surrounds us all every day. Yeah. In other words, modern life is very hard on your microbiome. The average woman hosts 515 chemicals by the time she steps out of the bathroom in the morning. Wow. The things that you find in your shampoo, your conditioner, your mascara, your makeup, your toothpaste, all of these things, if they are the wrong kind of chemical, have the ability to leach into your system and alter your DNA such that your cells no longer recognize one another. Yeah. When that happens, your cells turn on each other. So one cell meets another cell and it looks like an invader because it's had its DNA altered by all these chemicals, and it will fire on that invader. Friendly fire. This is autoimmune. And this is what we see. There are 80 different kinds of autoimmune disorders. Diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. Eczema is an autoimmune disorder. It is not a skin disorder. It is an autoimmune problem, and it sits inside the gut. You must heal the gut to clear the skin. This is what I figured out in my later research. You could put anything you want, and anyone who has eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, or acne knows this. You put steroids on that all day long. It will never work. Why? It's a gut disorder. It doesn't matter what you put on your skin, because it's not a skin problem. It's a gut disorder.
The problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, acne, IBS, anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, lupus, diabetes, arthritis. Those are just a few of the autoimmune disorders that we have going on all the time. 78% of the people who have autoimmune disorders are women.
Wow.
My theory on that is because we are the ones who use the personal care products, and frankly, we are the one who mostly use the cleaning products, as many of us can relate to. Women have a highly disproportionate number of autoimmune disorders. We're doing the behaviors that damage our microbiomes. So the way that I like people to think about this is, you are the steward of your own personal ecosystem. It is in your hands. It's as if someone has said, okay, here's this little Amazon rainforest, delicate, fragile. Imagine it like sitting on a platter that's balanced on a roller skate. It is so delicate. And every time you eat food, you are creating the weather for all of those living organisms in there. You eat sugar, you eat processed food, you eat rubbish, you're acid raining on them, and they can't help it. And you're killing off the good ones and boosting the bad ones. So the way to think about it is, inside your microbiome, there are two armies. There's the good army and there's the bad army. They both have their leaders. Yeah. The good army has leaders that we call probiotics. These are things like lactobacillus, lactococcus lactis, bifidobacteria. Each of these are like good leaders in a society. They promote diversity. What I love about this is a fractal, and it applies to society. It applies to nature. It applies to your gut. It applies to your skin. It's all the same, all up and down. And here's the rules. Love it, feed it, don't poison it.
Yeah, nice.
Not complicated. Diversity is good. So the good bugs promote diversity. They make it safe for everybody else. And they also suppress, not kill, suppress the pathogens and put them back into their proper place in the ecosystem. The bad bugs, on the other hand, they're like the gang members on the corner, right? They don't do any productive work. They cause a lot of trouble. They kill off the good bugs. They eat rubbish. They eat sugar and junk. And importantly, they do not produce mucus. Now, that doesn't sound good to us, but inside your stomach and your digestive system, your stomach acid is strong enough to dissolve zinc. If you were to drop it onto wood, it would burn right through it. Now, it must be so, because eating is a dangerous process. You're constantly taking in all these pathogens. We're getting food poisoning, bugs, all this stuff, toxins all the time. So it drops into this sizzling vat of acid to kill off all the pathogens. Great. However, what happens is that if the bad bug army gets control, because you're feeding it by eating sugar and processed food and junk, and also not eating enough fiber. The good bugs eat fiber, different kinds of fiber. The bad bugs raise up and get in control. The good bugs are suppressed. You get less protective mucus. Then there's not enough protective mucus to protect your system from that acid. The acid begins to actually contact the stomach lining, and your stomach literally begins to digest itself.
Wow.
That's inflammation. That's ulceration, that's colitis, that's Crohn's. Okay, you start down this inflammatory cycle. Once that starts to happen, your immune system is distracted from its constant work of patrolling the border areas and killing off. We all have pathogens coming in all the time. Yeah. It's constant. We all have little cancer cells growing all the time. It happens. You know, you get hit by a waft of pollution, it's gonna cause a cancerous cell. But your immune system, if it's functioning properly, will go rushing over there, snip off that cancerous cell, and it will be discarded. However, if you've got inflammation or ulceration, your immune system is distracted. And so it neglects all those other things. And so systemic problems begin to occur all over your body.
Yeah.
When these things start to happen, they happen in what we call the border sites of the immune system. Your immune system is located, logically enough, where the inside meets the outside. That's where your body needs protection. 70% of your immune system sits inside your gut. The rest is divided between the other border sites, your skin, your sinuses, your lungs, your vaginal canal. That's where the inside meets the outside. That's where it's spread. When you start getting problems, you will get problems, your skin, your sinuses, your lungs, your gut, your vaginal canal. In some, everyone has a different pattern. So the eczema atopic march often goes eczema, food intolerance, hay fever, asthma in your 40s. That's a very predictable pattern. Or you get psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis. That's another predictable pattern. So depending on your particular familial weakness, your genetic predisposition, that damage will affect you in different ways. But it's all of that stuff is symptomatic. Those are all symptomatic leaves of a single tree, and the trunk of the tree sits in your gut.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's such an incredible explanation. Thank you so much for that. And I just think it's such a celebration of that intrinsic harmony, as you said, between self, planet, our whole kind of ecosystem, at every touch point. It's incredible to just see how integral it all is to our overarching health and well-being. So what can we do? I mean, what can we do to empower and boost those good bacteria sort of to help ourselves, and evaluate kind of how or where we are with the balance of our good and bad bacteria, other than, obviously potential inflammations and systemic problems we're seeing or we know we're battling?
Mm-hmm. Well, the latest tool that we have at our disposal, and I really geek out on this science. I love it. We have a microbiome test. The microbiome test shows us exactly what strains of bacteria are operative inside your gut and who's winning, the good bugs or the bad bugs. Okay. We can see your levels of Lactococcus lactis, Lactobacillus bifidobacterium. We can see, those are the leaders of the good bugs. We can see the pathogens as well. Mm-hmm. And what we're finding in our research is that if you have ever had a UTI, a dental infection, a skin infection, or food poisoning at any time in your life, and it can be decades ago, there's sort of an acute short phase. It's like COVID. There's a short phase and a long phase. There can be an acute phase where you're symptomatic, food poisoning, for example, and you're desperately ill, and then you get over it and you think, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
What we're finding is not so much, because what can happen is some of those bacteria from the acute stage can migrate into your gut and set up shop there beneath something called biofilm. Okay. Biofilm is like a crust. It is like a symbiotic crust of organisms, and it's like the sponge at the bottom of a trash can. It's really stuck down there. It is antibiotic resistant by definition, because usually people take antibiotics, and again, the antibiotics will kill off everything they can, but they can't kill off everything. They leave the resistance, and the resistance breed and form this biofilm, which sits inside your gut. And then your immune system knows that it's there, tries to get rid of it, and fails. And so it sets up this rev pattern. It's just revving and revving, and it starts to exhaust itself. Much as in the same way that if you eat a lot of sugar and you exhaust your insulin system, you'll end up with type 2 diabetes. Or if you are an adrenal type person, which I am, and you get yourself into adrenal situations over and over, you will eventually exhaust your adrenal system and have adrenal exhaustion. It works the same way. Your immune system can exhaust itself trying to get rid of this biofilm. And what happens when your immune system exhausts itself? Autoimmune. So we're finding that people have these biofilm pathogen infections at a very low grade. And they may be Escherichia shigella comes from food poisoning. Fusobacterium comes from dental infection. Your dental infection may have been 10 years ago, but you might have a Fusobacterium infection inside your gut that's still there. Egrithella comes from UTIs. Your UTI might have been 20 years ago, but you might have an Egrithella biofilm inside your gut. And the only symptom you've got, rosacea.
Wow.
Yeah. So Microbiome test. We can see what's going on. I love this because when I first started out, I had to guess. You know, people would say, "Oh, what do I do?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
try some kefir and then some prebiotic. Okay, I don't know. Then come back and let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
And then I saw this test and I went, oh yes, I want that. I want that.
Yeah.
And we started to like, I don't have to guess anymore. You can take the test and we can look together at the results and I can go, okay, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
You had food poisoning 20 years ago. You've still got an E. coli infection in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing science. So then I developed a team of nutritional therapists to give these results to people because the test gives you an 80-page PDF of raw data. And frankly, who's got time for that? Nobody wants that. So I've got my nice nutritional therapist, and they are qualified to go through those tests and set the stage, explain how it works, and give you the relevant findings, as well as our personal action plan. So the personal action plan depends on the results of the test. Now, generally, what we pretty much always recommend for everybody is the daily gut health smoothie. The daily gut health smoothie is designed to boost the good bugs and suppress the bad ones, no matter what you've got particularly going on. That's just a general gut health thing. And it contains the kefir. It contains the complete prebiotic. Because you got all those diversity of good bugs in there, they need a diversity of different fibers.
Yeah.
One fiber does not fit all. There are 18 different kinds of fiber that your gut bugs need. And frankly, some of them are contained in things like cassava root and maitake mushroom. And who ate those last week? You know?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So we were getting people coming back to us going, okay, great, but you've told me to eat maitake mushroom. I don't know where it is or how to find it or how to cook it. So we created a complete prebiotic that has 18 different kinds of fiber in it. Frankly, all the ones that are naturally available, they're all in there. So 10 grams of that, put it in your smoothie, 170 ml kefir. Then I also recommend flaxseed oil because everybody needs omega-3s for gut health. And if you're over 30, collagen. A tablespoon of collagen. I use marine collagen every single day. We start decreasing our collagen amounts at 25. By 50, we have stopped altogether. And it's not just for your skin and your hair, it's also for your gut lining. So if you don't have enough collagen, you'll start getting little pouches, diverticulitis, bacteria will start to collect in there. If those little bacterial pouches explode, you have diverticular disease, and then it all goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
So collagen every day for everybody over 30. That's the basis of the gut health smoothie. Some blueberries and banana in there to make it taste good. And then if, you know, I put, I don't know, whatever supplements you want, I put some matcha green powder in there, some spirulina, whatever I'm feeling on the day. But, you know, I'm busy. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I've got a business to run. And, you know, I need something quick and easy. So the daily gut health smoothie is the way that I fly, and everything that I need for my gut health, I put in there, blend it up, drink it, and then I'm done.
Yeah, amazing. And as you say, I mean, you know, I mean, everyone is so time precious nowadays. I mean, whatever the demands are, you're looking after elder people, looking after children, you're working, you know, whatever the juggle is. I mean, modern life is fast paced, isn't it? And it's ever demanding. And so actually something really quick and succinct. But I love the idea, first and foremost, of getting that kind of microbiome test first, but also most importantly, because we see lots of tests in our wonderful world of wellness, but quite often, you know, people get these tests and then they don't know what to do with the information. So the fact that somebody actually is there, qualified, trained to actually look at that information with them and coach them through, okay, personally for you, this is what this means, and this is the stuff you can do step by step to kind of bring about sort of a difference. And how often would you retest? I mean, is there a period of time you would encourage people to kind of do a retest?
Yeah, absolutely. We suggest at 4-month intervals.
Yeah.
And so we give people a 50% off voucher so that they can do a retest. Right. So we can see, is your personal action plan working? If you have biofilm pathogen, I do have suggestions. So interestingly, there is research that shows that there are herbal tinctures that suppress these specific different kinds of pathogens, which I love. They're resistant to antibiotics, but the plants still work, which is brilliant. So we can suggest specific tinctures to deal and break the biofilm. And so then, of course, yes, we need to look again in 4 months and see, is it working? Have we suppressed the pathogen? Are the good bugs coming back up? How are we doing? How do we need to adjust your personal action plan to, you know, move forward to the next step? Because it's slow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing, is people are really used to taking a drug to mask a symptom.
Yes.
And that can happen instantly, but it leaves the root of the problem intact.
Yeah.
What I say to people is, this is natural healing, and it is slow. It works on the time scale of gardening or farming, which makes sense because we're actually dealing with flora and fauna. I mean, that's really what we're doing here. So it's a little bit like, you've asked me for an apple and I'm handing you an apple seed and I'm going, here, plant this, water it, and wait for it to grow.
Yeah.
People go, oh no, I need the apple. I know, but you cannot rush this process. Natural healing is slow. But the good news is it's all beneficial. Unlike chemicals, there are no negative side effects because everything is connected. So as you begin that virtuous spiral, everything starts to feel better. Your gut, your mood, your energy, your anxiety, your tummy, your joints, your skin, your hair, it doesn't increase at the same level like the skin. Unfortunately, a lot of people come to us because they have skin issues. The skin is the last thing to flip. So in about 3 weeks, I can deal with your anxiety. In about 6 weeks, your IBS symptoms will start to subside. You know, 2 months in, you're starting to feel better. You may start to lose some weight, your joints and things. It can take, rosacea, for example, can take 18 months. Yeah. For some reason, rosacea is the most stubborn issue that we deal with. It indicates a very deep-seated dysbiosis. Yeah. So the more severe and long-standing the dysbiosis, the longer it will take to resolve, which makes sense. And I do say to people, okay, you're 50 and you've had eczema since childhood. So this is a dysbiosis. This is a 5-decade dysbiosis. It is going to take some time to resolve.
Yeah.
The kefir's good, but it's even the kefir is going to take, you know, people go, well, it's 3 weeks. Why aren't I better? Like, no, it's going to take some time. We'll get there, but it will take time.
And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because I think that's kind of part of the culture of we see in holistic sort of health anyway, is people want quick fixes still because life's so demanding and so fast, and they want something quick, and they want to be sort of cured or healed or sort of resolved sort of quickly. And you're like, okay, but the condition didn't come along quickly. I mean, even cancers, you know, can take up to 30, 40 years to manifest, sort of, you know, in our bodies. So, you know, these things come about slowly, and obviously they unravel still quite rapidly in comparison. Mm-hmm. But obviously, as you say, sort of nowhere near sort of a quick fix in a week's time, or it's not a magic sort of pill. And it becomes worth that investment, doesn't it? I kind of love that analogy back to sort of, you know, sort of gardening or farming, because actually, you know, more people have got into those types of things over this COVID lockdown. People have kind of turned their gardens into these beautiful sort of vegetable patches and are growing their own things, and they're looking and reconnecting with that natural cycle of life. And I think that's kind of the respect we need to pay a sort of gut and sort of health and well-being as well, isn't it? So just quickly, because I know we're sort of up for time, but look at, I mean, you've wrote some incredible books on the subjects, Shann, and they can all be found on your website, which is chucklinggoat.co.uk, and we'll add all of those links and stuff into the bottom of the video as we release it, and across our social media channels too. But just talk a little bit about some of the skincare, because that's sort of different, and obviously it's a big part of what people in our spa and wellness industry know. I mean, they know all these different brands and skincare products, and you talked there about obviously how so many products have obviously are destructive. I mean, they're not helping our health and well-being. You've got some really kind of iconic products that people come back for over and over again, haven't you?
We do. And the first thing is that they are free of any perfumes, dyes, parabens, phthalates. So that's number one. It's got to be green and clean, because obviously you don't want to do more harm than good.
Yeah.
Everything in there is edible. Literally, I think it says on the back of the bottle, you could eat this, but don't. You'd be surprised. You got to tell people. Then it has the kefir in it. So what I did essentially was, after I worked with my husband, I thought, okay, nobody wants to do what I just did, because I'm like putting raw kefir all over his body and he smells like a cheese. not user friendly. So I took that kefir, I put it into soaps and lotions. So it is probiotic. And then I made it smell lovely by using essential oils. Because why would you use artificial fragrance, which is harmful, when you could use essential oils, which smell lovely and which each have their own healing benefit?
Yeah.
It's a win-win. I've never understood that. Like, why would you use anything else? Including, by the way, your room fragrance. So we have the CG oil, which kills MRSA, E. coli, Campylobacter, and Salmonella. I had the lab tested. In fact, it is effective against all those things. It smells lovely. It's like clove and cinnamon. It smells kind of Christmassy. And then we have a natural clean, which is grapefruit, lemon, and bergamot. Also boost your mood. There's good science behind it, relieving anxiety, depression, and so on. And then I put those things, the natural clean, into lotion. Into soap. Then we have rosemary, lavender, and thyme and tea tree in different ranges, and they do different things. So the kefir is probiotic, and it puts the good bugs onto your skin. As we talked about, it's good health both in your gut and in your skin is a space grab. You want to fill up that space preemptively with good bacteria, so the bad bacteria doesn't have room. That's we're suppressing the bad bacteria. Again, works the same way on your skin as it does inside your gut. Your skin is a biome. There are living bacteria there. They need nurturing. They need feeding. They do not need poisoning or killing off. Even the science around washing your hands for COVID, antibacterial soap does not work any more effectively to kill off viruses or anything like that. And in fact, what it does is strip your skin and leave room for pathogens. So what you want is a natural, hand soap. Essentially, the problem is there's a layer of kind of grease and fat on your skin, and the bacteria sits there. So what you need to do is physically remove that, and a natural soap and water is better for that than antibacterial. If anyone has any doubts about that, Google it. Plain soap and water is what everyone recommends. And then you want to put the good bacteria, again, you're restoring, you're replenishing. So you put the probiotic lotion on. If you're very sensitive, we have a sensitive range, which has no essential oils. And then the lavender is very gently antibacterial. We supplied 100,000 pounds worth of that for NHS frontliners.
I saw that.
The first COVID wave, because bless them, of course, they're washing their hands all the time. Their hands are all red and cracked. They've got mask knee from the PPE. And so the lavender calm down lotion is great for that.
Incredible.
There's also soothing, which has rosemary, which is good for mature skin of a certain age, and rosacea. And then the strongest one we have is called Breakout, and it's got thyme and tea tree. The thyme, everyone knows tea tree. Thyme is more effective against acne bacteria than benzoyl peroxide. Wow. Got the science. And no redness or drying. So it's more effective, and it doesn't harm your skin. So that's strong. Now, if anyone listening, if you're very sensitive, you have eczema, itchy skin, fragile, delicate, you react to a lot of things, don't go straight for the Breakout, because the essential oils are powerful. I say, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's not strong. So go for the sensitive, which you won't react to that. It's literally just got milk, oatmeal oil, kefir, it's olive oil. It's very soothing, very calming. As always, patch test inside your wrist. Your microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint. You never know what you're going to react to. So it is natural and pure enough to eat, but also you need to respect the fact that your system may be overreacting if you're in an allergy inflammation cycle. So the protocol that works is, especially for eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, and acne, all those things, again, they're autoimmune disorders. They sit inside the gut. You must heal the gut to clear the skin. So what works is gut health smoothie, drinking the kefir, healing from the inside, and then applying the kefir to the skin in the forms of soaps and lotions. And that's where we get our really dramatic results.
Which are incredible. And Shann, it has been an absolute education, totally inspiring. Both from how the kind of Chuckling Goat sort of business came about, your absolute palpable grit, determination, resilience, curiosity, passion, and ability to reframe is absolutely sort of beautiful and inspiring to sort of see and hear. And as we said, anybody wants to learn more, they can do so at chucklinggoat.co.uk, where they can find access to the microbiome testing, all of the products, both the kefir itself and also the applicable sort of lotions, and of course sort of learn more about you, which I'm sure most people will want to delve in and do too, because as I say, what an inspiration. Thank you so much for your time and all of your wisdom today.
It was a great pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shann. Take care.